I never had any issue with traditions that use plants and herbs and things like that. It says in the Bible that they were created for our healing. My issue is that, like, if your body is a vessel, if it's like the car you're driving, then you take care of your car. But ultimately,
Exactly.
it's the person inside piloting it, or the soul, that really
That's
is
really the
who
most
that's
important.
most important, exactly. And so I wonder sometimes if people forget about that in some of these pagan traditions. What's your thought on that?
Um,
For questions, comments, and to show your support, visit us on the web at afroempath.com. So I'm curious to know more about your mother. She seems like she was someone that kind of encouraged you to be yourself. And can you tell me a little bit about her and her background in terms of her upbringing? And was she from the church, or was she from a tradition of hoodoo, or what influence did she have on you?
my mom has the greatest, and I say has, she's like my best friend. Yesterday was her birthday, and I spent all day with her. Yeah, she's had a huge impact on my life. I grew up with only her. Her and my dad divorced when I was young. And so, it was a single mom thing. I'm the only child that she had. So that was it. And she's from Louisiana. She grew up, she was born there, moved to California when she was a young girl. So, like, between Louisiana and California. So I think what's funny, people meet me and they always think I'm either from New York or that I'm from California. I'm from Texas. I've never lived anywhere else. I've been to other places, but I say that because she put that into me. And it's a very hospitable, sweet, like, I'll help you with anything that you need. I'll provide with you, provide you anything that you need. But then, like, a very open-minded, new age. And so it's this very funny phenomenon that we have. And so as a kid, I grew up with that. And so, for example, my mom would cook all the time, home cooking all the time. And she would do, like, certain hoodoo traditions that she learned, just growing up down in the South. And, but then, like, people would come over and, she would have, like, gay friends and, just very open-minded. So it's like such a weird thing to see both, I guess.
What
And
is a hoodoo tradition? And I'm curious to know, like, what do you mean by that? What exactly is that? Enlighten me.
hoodoo is kind of, it depends on who you speak to. Some people don't know really what it is, and it's kind of a lot of different things. So hoodoo is not voodoo and nothing like voodoo at all, except the names are similar. So hoodoo is kind of based in the Catholic Church, which is what I'm baptized. And so with that, you use saints and you use, like, kind of kitchen magic, if you will, and herbal remedies and freezing things to stop situations and lighting candles for certain things and stuff like that.
Okay, so it's kind of like I'm, I'm trying to I'm guessing right now because that's the only thing I have to go off of. But is it like kind of like a blessing of your home or something like that? I'm not, or a blessing of your food. What is that? What exactly is it? Is that
We bless the home. We bless our food. But yeah, we bless the home. We bless one another. We cleanse the home. Like, that's part of things that I do. That's part of services I offer. I come in and do cleansing of your home. I come in and I do aura cleansing. Yeah, all of these things.
okay?
But it's, if you think about it, it's also part of the Catholic tradition itself, because priest comes out, to bless a home all the time.
Yeah,
So, you know,
gotcha. So what? So what makes it different than the Catholic tradition? Then what's different about it?
because it's just a little bit more in depth. Like, it's like that, and then we make oils. Like, I'm trying to explain it. I'm trying to think of how I can explain it to somebody that doesn't know it,
Yes.
because I want to say the name of stuff, and I'm gonna be like, okay, well, I have to explain that. So, for example, we do a candle work called a blockbuster. Let me ask you something. Where are you from?
I'm from Connecticut.
Okay, what is your background? What is your ethnic background?
Like my mother is, I guess, African American, and my father is Puerto Rican.
Okay, your dad will probably know because it's kind of like Santeria, but not quite. Like people liken it to it if they aren't familiar. So, for example, we'll do a candle working known as a blockbuster. What a blockbuster is something, it's a candle that you light, and it's a 7-day candle, which is a big glass candle. It's supposed to burn for 7 continuous days. The timing doesn't always work that way, but it's normally 5 to, something like that. So, anyways, you light this candle, you might dress it. You might put oil on it. You might put herbs on it to uh, help gather the energy that you need. Like certain herbs help for this or for that. Certain color candles are for different things, and so it gets in depth. And so you light this candle and you say, you might pray over it, you might say an affirmation, you might ask for help or what have you, but you say this and you work your candle. You say it every day and you watch how it burns. How it burns means something. What's left at, like how the candle burns. If it's a very strong flame, that means something. If it's a very weak flame, if it's flickering, if it continues to go out, if there's residue left on the glass, how the wax looks at the bottom, if there is any wax, if there's no wax at all. You see?
Do you think that actually? Let me ask you. Do you actually find correlation between that and actual things that happen, or is that just like some kind of like Because to me that could like seem like, oh, that can't be like a legitimate thing to observe. But what do you think about that? Have you found correlations in that?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Huh.
And I feel like the reason that this brings me to what we're getting to
Mm-hmm.
is I feel like this is a oneness. I've always felt like things are connected more than what we're led to believe. And so to me, this kind of solidifies that, okay, there's some kind of oneness, like there's a cohesiveness in the universe. And for example, I don't believe that there are coincidences. I think everything is in synchronicity. Everything's happening for a reason. You meet people for a reason. You may know somebody for 5 years and be like, why do I still talk to this person? And then boom, 5 years later, you guys need one another. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's not out of the blue. There's a reason, So all these things are happening around us, and there's absolutely signs, and there's absolutely, things that we can do to influence, ways that we can get what we want, and how to know the universe, how to talk to the universe, how to talk to your environment, how to understand your environment. All of these things, there are signs for everything. Like even you date a girl, and a year later you realize, like, man, this chick is a complete bum. Well, there were signs for, you know what I'm saying, every so often to show you this person is a bum. Hey, I'm a bum. So do you think if things like that happen, that's not the same in life?
Oh, you're relating this to the candle magic, I guess you're saying, or
Yes.
my thing is, I'm just playing devil's advocate. My thing is that I study the Hermetic principles, right? Or I'm sure you have as well to some degree, maybe. So I know that the universe is mental, all is mind. So they say that in an experiment, even scientists sometimes based upon what their will is, it'll help to shape the experiment. You know what I'm trying to say? Have you ever felt that? You ever thought that maybe based upon what your will is, some outcome might happen?
Yes.
And that's the point you're trying to say.
That's the point.
Gotcha.
Yes, absolutely. And so I believe in the law of attraction. I believe in affirmations. I believe in, I want this, and so I'm going to have it. And if you keep saying, I want this, I'm going to have it, you're drawing it to you. You know what I'm saying? Are you going to answer the door if somebody knocks one time and then, like, they don't really knock again, and so you don't really bother with it? Or are you going to answer the door that's like,
I hear what you're saying.
Knocking, so you can't help but get it.
Yeah. So, but metaphysically, what is the purpose of the candle? Help me understand. What exactly is the purpose of the candle? Why are candles so important?
Candles are important because we're dealing with light, we're dealing with energy, and so you think of and we like to visualize things, and we like to use physical props when we're doing things. To me,
Why is that?
there's
Why?
reason.
Yeah.
Because it's easier for us to see something in front of us, and we see it twice. We see it in our mind's eye and we see it in our physical eye. So that helps to solidify it, and then we can touch it. So boom, I can think it, I can see it, I can feel it. That helps to solidify that affirmation.
Here's a question for you, a pretty deep question.
Okay.
Now, the flame itself has a spirit. I've seen a candle lighter in slow motion. If you look closely, there's like a little ghost that comes out of it, looks like a little Casper type ghost, yeah, or a little genie, yeah, from the flame. So I'm not sure if you know about that, but I'm wondering to what degree what role does that play in it, or do you know? I'm not sure if you even understand what I'm trying to say here.
Are you asking me what role does it play for the fact that it has spirits?
Yeah, like I'm saying the flame itself has its own spirit, as I'm trying to say. You know what I'm trying to say? Mm-hmm. So what does that do for what you're trying to do? You know what I'm trying to say? Help me understand if you know what I'm trying to say here.
I would think that would help. I don't know that, so I'm listening to that and I'm forming an opinion as I speak.
Gotcha.
So, but I think it's very intriguing, and I'm definitely going to read about it. Thank you for sharing it, because I think that actually helps my case, because I'm speaking. You see, if we can envision that there are little entities there, I'm asking them. You know what I'm saying? That's more energy.
I think that now this is just my own intuition, but so the spirit of the flame, or the spirit of the fire. This is going back to like the I think it's called Zoroastrian tradition. Fire was really important, and a lot of people think Christianity is linear, but it borrowed from a lot of different traditions.
It's a pagan. It's completely pagan.
What does pagan mean exactly? I hear the word thrown around, but I'm not sure.
Pagan means that like paganism, everybody thinks about witches when they think pagan, but pagan is, for example, Easter. Easter is based in what's called paganism. Paganism is basically saying that, like, it's not God, it's like nature. And we worship the tree, we worship the ground, we worship nature, because nature is what sustains us, and so we love nature, and this is what I worship. And so, for example, like Easter is based in, like, the rabbit means fertility, and what is it? Easter, like the name Easter comes from the goddess of fertility in one of these pagan traditions. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's what that's based in. You can research that. I didn't make it up.
No, I hear you, but
I'm not doing it justice, because I haven't read it in a while, but every little symbol that we see, like Easter and then eggs, you see, bunnies and then eggs, that doesn't make sense,
Mm-hmm.
So why? And you can read about it, and it says, okay, eggs, fertility, the women's eggs, and this and that. So we have Christian traditions. Christian, religion has a lot of traditions from paganism in that way.
From other traditions, I understand.
Exactly.
Let me ask you, what is the overall goal of a practitioner of hoodoo? You know what I'm saying? What is the ultimate goal? You know what I'm saying? The name, then I'll just ask you that. What exactly is it? Is there an end goal? You know what I'm saying?
The whole reason is to help us. The whole reason is basically that there's tools to help us to get what we want, to not be sick, because even, like I said, the kitchen witch, that stuff like, oh, what do you take for an upset stomach? Some people call that a witch doctor or what have you, using herbs to feel better, and that's the root of medicine. And so what is the goal? The end goal is for people to be happy. Well, how do you be happy? You get what you want, whatever it is.
Whatever you want in terms of. So, let me ask you, what exactly do you want? What makes you happy in particular?
Being able to help people and being able to sustain myself.
Gotcha.
That makes me happy.
So is there an overlapping of the Christian tradition in this, or in terms of Christian values or virtue or something like that, or is it you know what I'm saying? So the Christian tradition basically is centered on essentially the return of the Messiah and the creation, the ending of this world and the creation of a new world and a new heaven. Yeah.
Yeah.
So does like Hoodoo have that same will? I'm trying to say in terms of
It's not it's kind of, you can't think of it as its own standalone.
Mm-hmm.
You have to think of it as like a side leg. For example, the best way I can think of it is in terms of motorcycles. You think of that little sidecar. It's not its own motorcycle, it's a sidecar.
Mm-hmm. Now I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
It doesn't stand alone. It doesn't really have any different values. It's kind of like, hey, here's some helpers.
Gotcha. My thing is, okay, so like the name of my podcast is called Afro Empath Ascension. So like for me the whole goal is ascension. Like I feel that we live in this world, so far as long as we live in this world, we're caught in what's called a duality, right? Mm-hmm. So for example, there's always a balance in this world, right? So that means when you try and create good, automatically evil is created. And when people try and do evil, automatically good is created, right?
Okay. That's your belief.
Well, that's just a law of the universe, duality. I'm trying to say, meaning that there's always a balance. I'm trying to say, so like think of a seesaw. It's kind of a catch-22 in the universe, right? So meaning that the only thing that, and this is, not necessarily not what I feel, but I'll ask you how you feel about it. But the only thing that is eternal is the soul within us. What do you feel about that?
I mean, that's not really debatable.
Yeah, exactly.
The body isn't.
Yes, exactly.
Nothing else but the soul.
So
now,
go ahead.
People, I mean, in terms of what may be a different thought, because we're energy and this, you think about, am I reincarnated? Am I, so yeah, but at the end of the day, that's it. That's the only thing that we have left.
So so the soul is the only thing that can ever be free from duality. So in my understanding with like the Gnostic Christian understanding is that our souls fell into this world, this universe, and we've been essentially trapped here. So ultimately, my soul longs to be free from this world. You know what I'm trying to say? And free from the duality of this world. You know what I'm trying to say? Because while you're in the Hermetic principles, right? Mm-hmm. So all of those principles are laws of this universe, right? And only so they're not binding to the soul; they're binding to us in the body. Exactly. So our souls are trapped in the body. So the thing is that I don't study the Hermetic principles to get like if you watch the movie The Secret, it's very, even though it talks it says law of attraction. It never talks about where it comes from. By the way, it never talks about ancient Egypt and the Hermetic principles, right? No, it doesn't. But you notice that it's very materialistic in terms of you want this car, well, imagine yourself in the car, feel the breeze in your hair, but it never talks about the original people that used it, and how even in their very advanced spiritual society, on the temple walls they had pictures of the afterlife and your soul leaving this body and returning to another place. So the point is that our ancestors at some point knew that we were trapped in this world, and the magic, quote unquote, was really to help to illumine our souls while we're down here on Earth, to help us eventually ascend to a place where we would never where we'd be free, our souls would be free from this duality, and I'm not sure that's essentially, that is, what I mean, this is what I feel, but I mean, you tell me what you think. That I feel that's what the, like the Gnostic tradition, the ancient Egyptians were talking about. That's what, the Hebrews and the Christians and the Muslims are also talking about, us returning to the eternal, our souls returning to that eternal place, and my thing is like, I wonder sometimes the will of some of the pagan traditions, like if they have the will to return to that eternal place, or whether they look at the earth as if it's their home. You know what I'm trying to say? I think all religions essentially are saying that.
I don't think any religions say that they live here, that they're, you know, that they're to stay here. I think every religion, as far as I can think, you know, talks about somewhere that the soul goes, or whatever you want to call it, but it's, you know, the same thing, just said in a different way.
So for me,
think about Buddhism and the light and all of, you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about transcending this material universe, you know.
Exactly.
So my thing is that like I never had any issue with, you know, like traditions that use plants and herbs and things like that. My whole, because we need, it says in the Bible that they were created for our healing. You know what I'm trying to say? So obviously they're here for our healing. My issue is that, like, when you worship things outside of yourself, you know, when this world, even though we eat things, and this conversation we're having, and I might see you, but ultimately everything we're doing in this world is a projection coming from our souls. You know what I'm trying to say? We're living in a holographic universe. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's not, you know, my thing is when people begin to, like, some people worship the trees. You know what I'm trying to say, or worship the earth. I'm saying you utilize the tools at your disposal in this world, but ultimately you're doing things. You know, that's just part of your game. Like, you know, it's like if your body is a vessel. You know, if it's like the car you're driving, then you take care of your car. But ultimately, it's the person inside piloting it, or the soul, that really is
that's really the most important.
That's most important, exactly. And so I wonder sometimes if people forget about that, in some of these pagan traditions. What's your thought on that?
That's a very complex question. I'm like thinking about all the different ways that I want to say different things. So I think that's a very good question. I think that's, you know, makes us do a lot of thinking and soul searching. And like, I know for me, I do things that are thought of as hedonistic, or however, I don't know how to say that word, if that's correct.
That's it.
Because I've only read it, I've never heard it spoken. So so I do a lot of reading, but so I do that sometimes. But anyways, because I do things that make me happy, and I don't do things for greed or anything like that I guess it seems negative, but I do things that make me happy. In other words, if it's, you know, Wednesday night, if I want to go out and hang out with my friends, I'm going to do that. I'm not going to say, oh my gosh, it's Wednesday. Like, I went to my friend's 4th of July party, I think it was on a Wednesday. And, you know, she invited me out. It was a barbecue, this and that. Everybody's hanging out. And we're playing music. We're popping fireworks, you know. And so then, you know, I'm making drinks because I'm an ex-bartender. So she comes and she's like, okay, well, this is a little bit too crunk for a Wednesday night. And in my head, I'm like, but we're having fun. And so things like that, like, I just go all out. And so I do it because it makes me happy, because people are smiling, because we're all having a good time. We're all having great energy. And so to me, that's what it's about, because I made me happy and I made other people happy. I made my own soul happy. You see what I'm saying? And so that's the things that push me. But other times you wonder and you say, well, what is this for? Is this hurting other people, like greed and stuff like that? And so that's why people are so afraid to just do things that make them happy, because a lot of people do things out of greed. And I think that that's a different phenomena, you know, that's not the same. And so people are afraid right now. And I think with traditional religion, it's more about keeping people in line. And so I don't feel like the bottom line is discussed enough so that people realize, hey, you need to be happy too. Does that make sense?
For me, I never even read the Bible until I was 30. You know what I'm saying? And before that, I was listening to Bobby Hemmett and Phil Valentine, and, you know, understanding metaphysics and reading the Kabbalion. So okay. I didn't come. You know, I never was like a brainwashed Christian in terms of, you know, growing up as a little kid through the church. When I read the Bible, I read it with you know, my own heart and my own mind. You know,
exactly.
But
as you would read like a mythology book or something.
I read it as, how can I apply this to my life and be the characters in the stories, because all the characters in the stories are people that triumphed over some sort of oppression, you know. Yes. And in the story of Christ, he was a black man, you know, who was oppressed his people were oppressed in their land by an outside force in the Romans. And so that struck home with me. There's no other book that talks about something like that, you know, in any religion. There's no other book that talks about a people losing their knowledge of self and being enslaved in a land that's not their own for 400 years. You know? So
Exactly.
so it was like, wow, that really, like, this I was like, this book, you know, this seems like a prophecy that is tailored to us, you know, even though we might have had the ability to read it during slavery. You know, it seems like this book is something that, you know, is definitely a book that is, you know, our prophecy. You know, I don't know any other nation of people that it would apply to.
Absolutely.
So my thing is that, like, I don't, when I see a lot of these people that will consider themselves witches, I'm trying to say a lot of these people, by the way, are European, and they don't.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me still?
Okay, hold on a second.
Sure.
Because my regular phone was ringing. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
I have to put you on speaker again. Okay, there you are.
Okay. I was just saying, when I see a lot of these people that consider themselves witches or Wiccans and things like that, I know that's probably a little different than Hoodoo, but it's still, would you consider a pagan tradition, correct?
Yes. Oh, yes. Like what?
Like a Wiccan or a witch, I'm trying to say? I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, Wicca is very pagan, and that's what people think, that those are the same, and they're not at all. Saying you're a pagan and saying you're a Wiccan are not the same.
Gotcha. Okay.
But similar, yes.
Gotcha. Okay, but I'm just saying that a lot of these people that I've seen are mostly speaking, they're of European descent. You know what I'm trying to say?
Exactly.
And if I like the way we're talking about, the Bible coming out of Africa. I'm sure you know that the Bible came out of Africa.
Oh, yes.
and it came from the Ethiopians, the original Hebrews. Yeah.
Yes.
Like, if I mention that Christ or God is a black man, right?
Mm-hmm.
To a European witch, you know what I'm trying to say?
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure. I shouldn't. I can't say I've ever had that happen before, but I've met some before, and I'm not sure if that's a conversation that I could really have with them in the way we're having it now. You know what I'm trying to say?
You can, if that person is familiar with what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Then yes, I think you can.
Gotcha.
Because I can have a conversation with that person because I'm familiar with that religion. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's like, it's like nothing. There's nothing necessarily that turns me off. My thing is about people's wills. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, the reason why I meditate, you know what I'm trying to say, and I meditate like a monk. You know what I'm trying to say? The reason why I do it is because I'm trying to cultivate Kundalini energy, right? Which I feel that the reason why we light the fire is because that is symbolic of something within us, the light of Kundalini energy that is going to essentially raise the vibration of this universe and burn up all falsehood. You know, that's why the fire was so important in the religion, the Zoroastrian religion, and actually, to be honest, the fire is important in Christianity too. You know,
fire is important. Yeah.
When Moses saw the burning bush, you know, and he asked, "What are you?" You know, and he said, "I am that I am." You know what I'm trying to say?
Exactly. It's important in everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Like, you asked me what's the symbolism of the flame. And actually what I was going to tell you, I'm glad I thought of that while we were talking about that. What I was trying to tell you, remember when I said that everything means something, like the flame, how it burns? I feel like those spirits and that energy, those entities, they're giving you feedback. Mm-hmm. Because if they burn strong, you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They're communicating, hey, this is happening. So that's what I was trying to say. But yes,
gotcha. But it's communicating something already within inside you.
Exactly. It can. And I mean, we are what holds us back, right?
Yeah. Well, ultimately, the whole point is that the concept that I never forget is that this world is an illusion, right? And that all is mind, the universe is mental. So no matter what, like, there's always, we are like, our souls are the the projector of the world that we're experiencing. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right.
And so with that in mind, like, your mind is always going to, one of the things in the Hermetic principles that says, like, basically nothing escapes the law. I'm trying to say you can utilize the law through mentalism and learn alchemy. and learn how to bend the universe to your will. But
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, there is so far as long as you're in the universe, there's laws that are within it that you have to utilize that are always being utilized, whether you're in control of them or not. So, like, let
I
me ask,
believe that.
yeah. So that brings me to my next question, and I'm not sure if you can help answer this, but since you're one of the few people I talk to that understands pagan traditions, I'll ask you. Like, I know that in like the Yoruba tradition, or I'm assuming that's Ifa as well. Like, sometimes they'll like slaughter animals to like alleviate certain pains or diseases with themselves. I'm not. Does Hoodoo, did they do that in Hoodoo or no?
No, we don't do any kind of slaughter or anything. And then I might add, I'm not like a hoodoo expert.
Yeah.
That's not something that I live.
Mhm.
I know stuff and I use stuff when I need it, and I practice what I need, but that's not where my beliefs are. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. I'm like, huh. 'Cause I was always wanting to talk to somebody that can answer that question. But one day, hopefully, I'll find somebody. But like
Santeria, I think, look it up. I think Santeria does that.
they do.
Okay.
And I've met some good sisters from these backgrounds. But I've
Yeah.
also met some sisters that are from these backgrounds that are not their energy is not so hot, that not so good.
And that's everywhere. But think of it. You got
That's in the Christian
people
church
in
too, though.
Catholic.
Yeah,
Yeah, you got
exactly.
people in Hoodoo.
Yeah.
There's what they call left-handed, stuff that they do that's, hey, maybe that's not something that you need to be asking the universe for. But
Yeah.
maybe they're evil or whatever.
I hear what
But
you're saying.
that's everywhere.
Yeah, and why are we talking about this? I gotta bring up this topic. This whole asking the universe thing, like that kind of irks me. Like, so in my understanding, right? You tell me if I'm wrong. Our souls came into this universe and were entrapped. You know what I'm trying to say? So, like, when people are talking about asking the universe, like, I'm wondering, like, what they're trying to say? Are they asking their soul? Because in my understanding, the soul is the only thing that is eternal. And that is really God, the seed of God within you. So when we're talking about God, like when I say God, I'm not speaking
God.
I'm not speaking about something like outside myself. I'm speaking about something like my own soul, actually, which
I
connects
feel
me.
like we're God. Yeah.
Exactly, we are God experiencing itself via the soul, right?
Yes.
Not via
Yes.
the universe.
But here's where you and I differ on
Okay.
that point. You feel like we are trapped here. I feel like we are here to be enlightened. And so I feel like, hey, there's a lesson here for everybody. And I'm open to expanding on that idea.
No, I hear what you're saying.
That's
I'm not.
that's my basic idea.
What you're saying is true. We are trapped. We are trapped. Number one, but we are here to be enlightened. Or here to be enlightened that we're trapped.
But why? Yeah, and maybe they are one of the same, because
Yeah.
maybe we're trapped because we're here to learn lessons. So we might as well make the best of it. Is where I go.
Exactly. Exactly. So, for example, like the term enlightenment, I think is like a little like glittery, and I think for me, the way I think of enlightenment is more like this. I think it's like, initially, enlightenment is more like, Neo waking up from the Matrix when he wakes up in this little pod. I'm trying to say, and realizes that his entire life struggle never happened. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Exactly.
that the world that he lives in is really a dream he's playing out. You know what I'm trying to say? And he's never really used his body before. Which I guess would you call your light body? You know what I'm trying to say? Or your So, like, my own story was basically, I, for many years, when I came into consciousness, as I say, and that was, that I basically tried to fight for the freedom of Black people in this country,
Okay.
and that eventually landed me in jail. And during that time, I asked God, whatever, I'm not sure what God really was at the time, but I asked him to basically to take the pain from my heart, because I was in such turmoil in terms of, like, hurting from just like experiencing the pain. Like, as an empath, we soak up the pain of those around us. So,
Exactly.
so I soaked up the pain of our enslaved ancestors, and I soaked up the pain of my friends, my family. And I said, if you'll take this pain from my heart, I promise I'll stop doing what I'm doing. And basically, I heard a voice that said to humble myself.
Okay.
And basically, I had to learn a new way of going about our freedom, right? And so so eventually, to kind of speed things up here, I learned to not fight through physical means. I'm going to say, but I learned to fight through meditation and raising my vibration, and helping to spread a vibration of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice in this world through me and through the work I do with, by spreading basically just, that message is as far as I know it. And that's always continually evolving for me, to people through this podcast and through my work, through life coaching, etc. But ultimately the thing is that like, then like, how to put it, like the fight that I have, I realize was really just my, like, how to put it, I was initially trying to save Black people, like physically. I wanted every baby to be able to have a bottle. I wanted all Black people to be able to have the right to self-determination in this world. That's a good thing initially, right? But eventually, if you realize that this world is really an illusion, really a dream, and our ancients knew that our souls were entrapped here, and that what freedom actually would be, is not creating the new Egypt 2.0, etc. Because in this universe, as you know through studying the Hermetic principles, there's a law called rhythm, and that means everything flows on a pendulum, right? So all things rise and fall. That means even civilizations rise and fall, every one of them. So meaning that if we were to create a new Egypt 2.0, even that would fall, and we would descend into consciousness again. So ultimately, we are on a wheel of incarnation. I'm trying to say, as the Buddhists say, and my goal then became how do we get off of this? I'm trying to say, and my will became that became my will, as opposed to freeing us in the physical, or even necessarily making us happy in the physical. I'm trying to say, I realized that even like the happiness that we find in the physical may be a distraction from going inward and generating that Kundalini energy that may help to destroy this universe. If that makes any sense to you, what do you feel about that?
Okay, well, I think you and I go about it a little differently, but I understand. I'm just thinking about because I've always been interested in the Kundalini energy as well. I wanted to learn about it.
Yes.
And I wanted to do yoga and stuff like that, because I thought that was interesting how, it's coiled up at the base of your spine, and I love it. And I was like, I can understand that. But to me, and I don't feel like for me, this thought has been building for years and years, and it's not complete. So, as far as, what's our purpose? And it's like, okay, I got our purpose. Like I said, with the Enlightenment, cool. How do we go about that? For me and you, I think it's different. And I'm actually curious as to how you do it, because I think you and I do it, both do kind of the same thing, but a different way. So I want to know more about that, because I don't understand.
Yeah. So
what are you doing?
Sure. So basically what, alchemy is, in my understanding, is actually the transmutation of pain in order to perfect the soul. So pain is the greatest teacher, right?
Yes.
And so I believe that there's five phases to get to a certain level of enlightenment. There's knowledge, action, pain, introspection, and wisdom, right? And so I like to use the example of Christ in that, the knowledge. So he would know that there's the money changers, and then there was people that were teaching the wrong things in the temple, and he would then take action against that. So he would chase them out with the sword or something like that, Then he was found as the king of the Jews. And they put the thorn on his head, and that would be pain. Then the introspection phase would be when he was maybe in the cave, with the rock over it, And then wisdom, when he came out as something new, the Christ, meaning that he was not going to go about fighting in the physical way like he did before. He understood a different way of doing things, a different way of fighting. You know what I'm trying to say? And that would be kind of like going back to the Buddhist tradition, where Buddha understood to learning how to fight inwardly. You know what I'm trying to say? And they speak about that also in the Taoist the Taoist tradition, or Taoist tradition. Basically, and also in Islam, the inner war, the inner struggle. Essentially, what I'm doing by raising my Kundalini is I'm raising the vibration within myself. But because I like to think of like a tapestry, or like a sheet or a blanket, that has each individual thread is like one of our souls, right? So if I pull my soul or your soul up, right, everybody raises, because we're all part of that tapestry of man. Does that make sense?
Okay. Okay. I understand. I understand.
Yeah. So we're all one. We're all connected, right? Via the soul, right?
Right. Right.
Exactly. So by me raising myself, then I'm also forcing others to raise themselves.
I got you. Got you.
So I'm forcing them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it's. I think there's a better way to do that, but
Well,
I
what am I gonna do?
understand.
Invite them over for some drinks and some fireworks? You know what I'm trying to say? No, there is no better way. It's not about their
I
will.
understand,
Because
but it's
guess what?
hard because you're forced.
If given free will, right? And people, we have free will. If given free will, you see what people will do. You know what I'm trying to say? They ultimately what they want to do is feed their egos and feed their bodies. You know what I'm trying to say? Most people want to have a white picket fence, want to have a baby that's pretty that looks like them that they can play around with. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, that's ego. Yeah.
That's ego, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
The truth is that like ultimately, I'm here serving my soul's will. You know, does that mean like for me, fun? For me, fun is having superpowers and flying and whooping ass. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what
Oh
fun
yeah.
is for me. You know what I'm trying to say? If I wanted to do some domestic shit, I could have done that without having to go to jail. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
You know, so that for me, that's fun. You know, but that's in my incarnation. This is the level that I'm on now, and what I'm here to do. You know, um,
You know what though?
go ahead.
As you told me more of that, I don't feel because I'm thinking for me, okay, for me when somebody's explaining their point of view,
Hmm.
I think about it and I take it on and I chew on it and I spit it out and I make it into, something that I can relate to.
Hmm.
If it's something smart, I may say, wow, I think that's a very good way to look at. And so as you're speaking, I'm thinking in my head and I'm like, how do I feel about that?
Hmm.
How does my soul feel about that? About what his soul, is doing. And what he thinks that we need and how to go about that.
Hmm.
And I'm thinking and I'm like, I don't know if I can agree with that, but I don't disagree with it. So as I'm going through and I'm listening to you and I'm like, really chewing on, I'm like, what if that is right? And what if I'm right too? As in everybody is doing their part in a different way. And so then I'm looking at you as like community instead of do I have to believe this or do I have to not, or do I have to disbelieve it? Why can't I believe it all?
It's
You know
not.
what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly. It's not, ultimately, you know, so the Kabbalah, the Kabbalah is like my guide through life, or let's
Okay.
just say the seven hermetic principles. So it says that, um, basically, I'm gonna put it. It says all truths are but half truths. I'm trying to think of the verse here.
I think I just had it up. Hold on.
It talks about paradoxes. All paradoxes can be reconciled. I'm trying to find the exact like axiom here so I can read it. Hermetic axiom.
And what's funny, yeah, there's so much paganism, like what paganism takes from this.
All right. So it says polar.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Polarity.
polarity. So everything is dual. Everything has its poles. Everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half truths. All paradoxes can be reconciled. So when it says all truths are but half truths, like ultimately, like in the ancient world, we never argued. You know what I'm trying to say? Because we understood that truth has to be experienced. You know
Yes.
what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
So I went through when I talk about the process that I went through of knowledge, action, pain, introspection, and wisdom. I feel that the reason why I choose the truth, like you have to go through that process to reach a certain level of enlightenment. So like I feel that like how can I put it? Let me ask you this, and this is a very hard question, but I think you can take it. Have you ever and I use the story of Christ as an example for life. You know what I'm trying to say? So
Uh-huh.
in the story of Christ, speaking of knowledge, action, pain, introspection, and wisdom, there was a time where he was willing to give his life to see black people free or to see people free. Period. You know what I'm trying to say?
Hmm.
Have you gone through a time in your life where you've ever been willing to give your life to see people free?
I mean, I can't identify with that,
Hmm.
honestly,
Yeah.
because I've never been in that position.
Yes.
And I can't say you know what I'm saying? I've never been in that position.
Yeah.
I've never I've never, had a great battle, like a physical
Yeah.
battle in that way.
I never would want you to. I never would want you to. But that the point I'm trying to make is that, like, ultimately, if we say that this world's an illusion, right? And this is a hard truth that a lot of people like don't like to hear from me or don't like to hear. But if we say this world's an illusion, I'm not saying for you, but I'm saying for myself and people like myself, especially men, because I don't feel it's a woman's role to be given their lives, physically, personally. But as a man, if you're not willing to give your life in an illusion, then this illusion will always this illusion or the fear of it. I'm trying to say you'll always be subject to it. You'll always be subject to the world. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So in order to reach full enlightenment, you have to be willing to die. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
There is no other way to circumvent that. There is no other way to circumvent that. You have to be willing to give your life in service to others. So because I've gone through part of that process. You're going to say that helped me to realize that the freedom that I was seeking was not a physical freedom in terms of Black people having a new society in this country or this world, because that's really what I want. That's really in my soul initially what I wanted more than anything. I thought I wanted to be my inspirational people were Malcolm X. You know what I'm trying to say? Why people were in church, I was listening to Malcolm X, even though Malcolm X was still a Christian and a Muslim. I was more interested in his Black Power thing. I was reading, studying Huey P Newton, and he was really non-religious. You know what I'm saying?
You could appreciate the struggle. Like you don't have to identify with everything, but you took that. Yeah. Exactly.
So I looked at people that were spiritual and people that were religious. I thought initially when I was young, I thought they were like cowards. I thought they were just pacifists. You know what I'm trying to say? So it took me going through that process that I spoke about of knowledge, action, pain, introspection, and wisdom to understand what freedom really was. And, I heard people like Bobby Hemmett talk about, the soul is the only thing that is real. And they talked about ancient thought and all our ancient way of thinking. And, it wasn't going to make sense to me yet because the truth had not yet been experienced. You know what I'm trying to say? It was just
you hadn't gotten there yet.
Exactly. It was a phrase that somebody else said. It was a little snidbit, a little seed that I put in the back of my mind. I never disregarded it. You know what I'm trying to say? But since I hadn't experienced it personally, it did not shape my personal soul and my personal will. Because I could just not get past that I've got to save the babies. I got to save Black people. That was my thing. So like the point I'm trying to say is that like now like the Kundalini energy that I raised within myself, and the reason why I am somewhat of a monk, that doesn't mean I can't go out. Ultimately, I think you have to take this message out and spread it to others. But the point is that the reason why I take what I do with such discipline is because out of compassion for others, because I understand that this is an illusion, and why I may be happy and I may be having a great time with my friends, which I don't really have many. I'm just making that up. But the point is that there's somewhere in a remote village, somewhere in a place I don't even know the name of, a woman's being raped right now. Does that make sense?
Right.
Right. So ultimately, my will really is to end this universe. That's my will, because out of compassion for others, not for me finding personal individual joy.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Sure.
And you want to end this universe,
Correct.
and you think that by raising the
Kundalini.
Universal consciousness, basically letting us all believe and know and remember that this is temporary, this is not our end game, that will essentially destroy this universe?
No, it has nothing to do with belief. It has nothing to do with belief. No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. So going back to that example of the thread on the sheet, right? If I'm pulling that thread, it's not going to matter whether you want to go or not. You know what I'm going to say? Meaning, this universe is going to have an end. Anything with a beginning, it's going to have an end.
Oh, okay.
People don't have meaning people do not have a choice. You know what I'm saying? There is no choice. You know that the universe, anything that has a beginning has an end. You know the universe is finite, correct?
Absolutely.
So doesn't really matter of individual wills, because trust me, there are people that have given their souls, right, in colonizing and enslaving other people to gain power in this material universe. We both know that, yeah?
Right.
And I feel it's their will more than anything to keep this world going, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So ultimately, it's not going to matter. And these are very powerful, influential people, right? That have access to the minds of millions through through TV and things like that. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter about their will, because it's God's will is going to be done regardless. You know what I'm trying to say? Because it's
Right.
not it has
Right.
there's nothing more powerful than the seed of God within us, or the soul.
Yes.
So my
Yes.
thing is, I don't necessarily need other people to co-sign on what I'm doing. The
Okay.
reason why I do it is to help people be centered and understand the process that we're going through, so they can find peace in their lives. That's all.
Okay. Got you. That's why I was like, wait a minute. Okay. Okay. I
Yes.
understand more now. Now
Yes,
I
that's it.
understand.
Yeah, it's all about being centered. It's all about being centered. You know what I'm trying to say? And I feel that
I know.
if you need to go out and find enjoyment in the world, which is finite, then ultimately you're going to be subject to circumstances. So what happens when you don't have friends?
Well, you have to find it in you. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, exactly. What happens?
And I teach that as well. So
Yes, exactly, exactly. So my whole thing is to not be subject and to anything.
yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely agree with that. Because I teach about people basically being able to be their own happy, and oh well, I want to be in a relationship, and if I'm not in a relationship then I'm not happy, but they don't like themselves. Well, how's anybody else gonna like you?
Mm-hmm.
Where are
Yeah.
you starting from?
Yeah.
And you don't need that. You can be at home alone. You gotta be okay with that. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Um. We're hitting an hour mark here, so I'm not sure if there's anything that you want to like. Did you want to talk about? I'm not sure if there's anything else you want to talk about, or anything that you wanted to express to me or ask, or did you want to promote something, or?
No, I mean honestly, I didn't know. I didn't really know what we were gonna do. I was
Yeah.
just ready to talk about what I believe and
This,
what I do.
this was pretty. This was pretty good, sister. This is a good. This is a good discussion, honestly.
I'm, I'm like, did you enjoy this? Was this
I
what you wanted?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I really personally I enjoyed it because you know what it did. There are people that come from like that. I like to I like to be understood. I think everybody likes to be understood. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes, yes.
So it helps it help it, like I don't know, it like warms my heart to understand that like I don't like to be like I can put it, I know like in myself like who I am to people can come off as like intimidating. You know what I'm trying to say? Because
Yes, yes, yes,
because I'm extremely disciplined. You know what I'm trying to say?
yes. As am I. I totally relate.
Yeah, and so I want to like you helped me to be relatable to someone like yourself and people that may have your understanding and come from your background. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So
Yes.
so exactly. And so like we just right now we help to just like there's been a rift in my own spirit, in my own soul, with people that come from more pagan traditions. You know what I'm trying to say? And,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
because I wasn't sure where their will was. Does that make sense?
I do understand. I do understand. You may not want to use me as a compass
Yeah, yeah,
though,
yeah, yeah. That's true. I can
because
I can
I
tell
am.
you're not as deep into it as some may be.
No,
Yeah,
I don't. I wasn't. That's the thing. I wasn't raised very religiously. Like I'm baptized
yeah,
Catholic, and we went to church, but some Sundays we didn't go to church.
yeah,
And so it was, kind of a do what you feel. My mom will tell me, she's like, if you ain't get your butt up, we leaving at such and such time. If you didn't get dressed in time, then you missed church. And if you want to, and I, roll over. Oh, I don't feel like going. Okay, well, I'll go. You know and so it was that kind of a thing. So I'm like, I'm familiar with it, and that's what I am, but I'm not. I was never devout or anything like that.
hmm
And
So
my beliefs are not. My beliefs are the same, but they're much more expanded.
gotcha.
So
So you want to tell me a little bit about like your business and how it got started and what exactly you do? You know what I'm saying?
okay, so my business it's a holistic business. It's called Healing Waters, and what it is I've always been a natural healer. And what I mean by that is, I'm sorry, I'm getting my lunch started, so you're gonna hear like water and the stove and stuff.
Okay.
Um, I am. I've always been a natural healer. What I mean by that is physically and emotionally. I grew up in a shop, like a mechanic shop, and the head mechanic there was a very good friend of my mom's. He was like a father figure to me. I was like 7, 8 years old, and I would give him like shoulder massage, neck massage, like that. And so I've always been able to do certain things, and I don't know how I learned them. This is one of them. I've always had a gift for massage. I've always had a gift for finding the hurt and massaging it out, literally and figuratively speaking. And so that I never learned how to do massage. I just always have had strong hands, and this is a big grown man, and I'm giving him a quality massage, and so he can tell you now. He's 80 years old now. He can tell you now. He tell me, man, I used to love it when you would rub my shoulder. I don't know how you did it. And now, like I have a personal training business as well, and I do massage in that also. And I tell people like, how you know how to do massage, and I say it's because of that, but it's way before that. And not only that, like growing up, I would always have intuition. I would tell my mom, hey, I really don't like this person, this and that, or I have a funny feeling about this person, or I would just do things and don't know why I do them, and always. And now it's just gotten bigger and more, and I've always had people will come talk to me, and I comfort people. And so what I've realized is I'm a healer. People talk to me. People open up to me naturally. People feel comfortable around me naturally, and just something about me, like any kind of person can get along with me, or, so I just kind of took it and I said, I'm really good at it and I enjoy it. I love it. I love it when people come to me and they're hurting and I can help them. And I used to take the energy on. I used to not know how to deal with it, and I would take it on as my own. And I've learned how to take it and throw it away. Just because I picked up your trash doesn't mean I have to eat it. I can pick it up and throw it away for you. You see what I'm saying? I've learned to do that for people. And so, I've learned to know when people need me. I don't know how many times I have this one friend. I don't know how many times I text her or I call her or I feel something and I know it's her energy. And I call her and I say, are you okay? And she's like, I'm so glad you called me. And so, and I help her that way. And she comes by and I cleanse her and we talk, and so it helps her to have that. But I have psychic ties to some people like that. It's not a lot. It's not a trick, it's not something I do on purpose.
Yeah, but I understand. I talked about this with a sister yesterday. It's basically about who you decide to really let in your heart in terms of your personal circle. A Christian would call it your prayer circle. Someone that you always have in your heart and in your mind. You kind of develop. You take their energy on inside you, and you feel it as they're feeling it. Type deal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so that kind of a thing. And so I'm that. I live that. And every day I heal people and forever. And so to have that personal training business, that was kind of the start of the physical. And then I kind of took it more and said, wait a minute, I do more than just, the body. I do stuff with the soul, And so, and I just kind of took it and ran with it. And I can't complain because I've met some great people, and I'm actually, now I want to kind of get a little bit into a different aspect of it, into like motivational speaking and stuff. And so, and still doing my life coaching and all the things that I do, but adding that component because I enjoy speaking to a large amount of people about this topic as well, and I've got things written down in lessons that I have for, my teachings. And so I've just, kind of something that I never would have done. But that's it, it's just healing on a greater scale to me. Like, I just feel like when I get to help these folks that they actually get to improve their quality of life and get to take charge and realize, hey, I don't have to be in this position. I can think my way out of it. I can will my way out of it.
So what tools do you utilize to help these people in terms of not in the physical aspect? I know it's part of it, but in terms of like a life coaching thing, what tools do you give them? I know I saw a little bit of your website. There's crystals there, and other maybe oils. I'm not sure. So tell me how would you, if I'm a person that's never knows nothing about the effects of crystals or the effects of oils, etc., how would you go about explaining this to me if I'm a complete novice?
The crystals and the oils are kind of their own entity in this regard. The crystals do help and they do different things, but I don't use them so much with this.
Mm-hmm.
With that, that's more of on a different that's on a different scale.
Mm-hmm.
This business, Healing Waters, it has a little bit of something for everybody. And so that doesn't really go with this. This,
Okay.
as far as like healing yourself and all of that, that's really a mental thing. And I give you the tools that you need mentally, and I tell you what to do and how to do it when we do it together. And so basically what I'm speaking on is I do practice the law of attraction. I
Mm-hmm.
do believe in affirmations. But to me, affirmations are just like prayers, if you will. If you look at the structure of a prayer, it's very close to an affirmation. And you can affirm. Some people like to affirm from God. Some people like to affirm from the universe. Some people, whatever your God is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I say God, I say the universe, and I explain it. Hey, whoever you think that you're talking to, that's who you're talking to.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes it's God prospers me now. Well, if you believe that, you're going to find a way for that to be true. You see
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you can look at it as affirmation. There's a bunch of different ways you can break it down. I can say I'm asking the universe. I
Yeah.
can say I'm asking God. I can say I am God, so I'm asking me and telling me that I can do
Yeah,
this.
the
You
law
see
of
what I'm
mentalism.
saying?
The universe is mental. Yeah, all is mind. Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. But that's what I teach. And so if I tell you, hey, I am a strong entrepreneur. I am a savvy business person. I do have a successful business. I'm going to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
But if I think I can't do it, well, then I can't do it because I've already said I can't.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that. And yes, how to get what you want. But, there's so much more to it, and there's building ourselves and all of that. So it's, you think of, oh, well, anybody can just do this. Well, for a minute, but can you sustain it? Because the moment that you don't believe it, well, then it's not there anymore.
So how have your empathic abilities helped you in terms of this is life coaching you're talking about, right? With this Healing Waters.
Yes.
So how
Yes.
have your now this is something you do face to face or over the phone or what?
I do it always, face to face, over the phone, video. I do a lot of mentoring.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for example, like there's one girl that I mentor, and my mentorship for her is infusing that she can do it into her, giving her that. And so with her, I do the affirmations, and she knows the law of attraction. She knows that I speak on it, and she knows that this is the way to attract what she wants. In other words, keep your spirits up. You can do it. Any traditional mentorship,
Mm-hmm.
telling her the right way to do things and the right way to speak to people. She's 20 years old. I'm 34. I think I've got a few more life experiences. And so I just, she's a black woman, she's a black girl.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't have a mother or a father. You
Mm-hmm.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I have to teach her how to be a young lady. But then she's queer. So we've got that aspect. You see what I'm saying? She needs a lot of support. And so I support her in a lot of different ways in that mentorship. One of them is instilling in her that she has her own power.
Mm-hmm. So I want to kind of touch about the oils, and this is just my own curiosity, the oils and the crystals and things like that. I know you're saying this is a different aspect of what you're doing in terms of different business, you said?
Exactly.
So
it's still that business. Healing Waters is more. Healing Waters is just that. Whatever you need to heal.
Gotcha.
Some people are already dealing with crystal healing. Every crystal has a reason to be here. Basically, it's the same thing. You think about the crystals as the herbs,
Mm-hmm.
right? Rosemary does something for you. Ginger does something for you. See, and so you think of that. And so lapis lazuli is good for the throat.
Mm-hmm.
It's for speaking. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got a speaking engagement, then you might put a piece of lapis lazuli in your pocket.
Do you have one on right now?
No.
I do.
Don't need a booster.
I could tell, but I'm not saying I need one either. But I have one that I always wear anyway. It's like an orgonite lapis lazuli piece.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And then some people like them because they're pretty. And so you think about what I just said about lapis lazuli. Well, it's in a book. You can read it. I can look it up on the internet. You see what I'm saying? So you say, people, is it the placebo effect is where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
You know, does it really work or is it in the mind? Well, guess what? If it helps me do better, does it really matter?
Yeah, let me tell you right now, it's not. It is not in the mind. It is not in the mind.
I don't think it is, but
no. I listen now. I don't. I'm not. I don't think anything. I know for sure. Look at now. My I'm like I pick up on subtle energy. You know what I'm gonna say?
Yes.
So I can feel like I'll put it this way. If you had a round stone and they're all round and they're all the same size, right? And you gave me each one of those stones, my eyes were closed, I could tell you what crystal they were.
Because it resonates with you.
I can feel it's like, it's like being around a friend, like, you might have a friend that, you might have two different friends and two different friends have two different energies. So when you're around them, you might act slightly different,
Exactly.
So it's a subtle energy. So, it just gives you a little, it just helps center that particular aspect of you, ultimately.
Exactly.
If you understand the concept that this universe is a mental creation, so it's everything that we're all the energy and everything that we're seeing is all something that came from some energy within us at some point. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
So all it is that this is an aspect that connects to this aspect within inside you. That's all.
Yes. This helps you connect with it.
Exactly.
And so, and I know you were asking me about like different things of going across the platform. So I told you about the mentoring, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I told you about the young lady that I'm mentoring.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for example, with her, we would do like a little bit of the affirmations here and there, but it was really just about mental support and, helping her and making sure that she had somebody to tell her, I'm proud of you and things like that. Well, she went out for a job and I asked her, could I light a candle for her? Because I always ask people, and then I ask for your birthday. And so, but I like to ask people because I think it's unfair to do things like that when people have not given you the permission to manipulate their energies like that.
Okay.
And for better or for worse, you see, this is a positive thing,
Mm-hmm.
but I want your permission. So anyway, and I think it kind of helps you to know that I'm doing something extra. So I lit the candle for her. She got 2 jobs. She called, she texted me and was like, oh my gosh, since you lit that candle, all these blessings have happened, that whole week was this and that. And so that's an example of both sides of my business working together, you see? Mm-hmm. Because that's something that is not normally a part of my mentorship. It's just something that I included because she was open to that as well. So, that it kind of transcends. I know you were asking me like, oh, well, do you use the crystals for this or for that? If those people are open to those
modalities,
ideas,
yeah, I got you.
Then I do, but it's not a normal lesson for a mentorship, or it's not a normal lesson for one of my seminars or something like that, because I have to do something that everybody can relate to, and then with the life coaching, it's personal, and so then I can say, well, this person will react to this in this way. So
yeah,
there you go.
Understood. But for the sake of this show, I'm curious to know, because we go pretty deep here. I want to know about the oils. Exactly what are the contents like? Because this goes back into your tradition of hoodoo, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Help me understand this. This is interesting to me. I know nothing about this.
Okay.
So what kind are they? Are they infused with herbs? What's the base? Come on, give me everything.
I'm gonna find one because I made one by myself.
Mm-hmm.
My mom kind of gave me the roots for this, but as I've gotten older, I've researched more and I've started to do more with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of these things I learn as I go, and some of these things I've known forever. This, for example, I went a little deeper than I was taught, and I started to research the oils and stuff like that. So what I did is I made myself a blockbuster oil, and I wrote it down, but I'm looking for that folder. I didn't really know what to be prepared for. Mm-hmm. And I put stuff away, but I've just done a reorganization. So, you put things away so they're out of the way and then you can't find them.
Understood.
But anyways, I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Certain herbs are for certain things. And what I mean whenever I say that is maybe cinnamon is for love, or lavender is for calm, right? So
I love cinnamon. I'm not sure if it's for love, but I love it. I love me some cinnamon.
I don't remember what I just said that when I talked. But
Yeah, I
lavender
hear.
is
Yeah, an
calm.
example. Gotcha.
um, cayenne pepper, it's explosive. So a blockbuster, there's two different things that are similar in hoodoo. One is called a blockbuster, one is called a road opener. They sound similar, but don't they sound different? They're similar because they're both clearing a path, but one sounds a lot more explosive than the other, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Obviously the blockbuster. So if I make an oil, and what an oil might do in hoodoo is it might dress a candle. So for example, if I do, maybe I want to do a blockbuster candle. You do orange, you can do black for that too. So maybe I'll do a black one. I'm going to dress the candle in oil. The purpose of dressing a candle is you want to add more energy of what you want. Blockbuster is to clear the path. So let's say, for example, you've been trying to get a job, right? And every job that you go through, like you keep encountering an issue. So we need to clear the path to financial freedom for you. We need to clear the path to getting a job. Something is holding you back. There's a wall in the way. Something that's in your way. So we want to clear your path. I don't want to do a road opener. I want to do a blockbuster. I want to explode this thing because it's something really big. So I might take an oil that's like I might take the base olive oil. I'm gonna do cayenne because I want it to be explosive. I'm gonna do I can't think off top. I think basil is for money too. So I put money because this is about a job. This is about finance. So maybe I'll do I have them all written down, like which ones are for this and that. There's another one you can do for luck. Like
Hmm.
I think cinnamon is for luck, actually. And so I might put some cinnamon in there. Well, these things are to garner the energy of that, to garner lucky energy, to garner money energy. And so you make an oil and you dress your candle with that oil. You burn the candle for this person to a blockbuster. Let's explode this wall that's stopping you. So
Hmm.
it's taking, everything is for a reason. Every herb is here to help. It can help this or help that, or maybe it's physical, maybe it's just energy speaking. So it's just like that. That's what that is.
That's cool. That's cool. So is it only for dressing candles, or do you people put on their bodies? Do they consume them, orally or what?
You don't eat them. You never eat them. You can put them on your body, some of them. For example, there's like love oils that a woman will put on. And you have to think of it in terms of this. And when I say this, it might make more sense. For example, this love oil. And I'll see girls like doing reviews on them, like in groups that I'm in, and they'll be like, "Oh, I just ordered this oil from such and such and it works." And it works. And I'm going to tell you why. Like this thing might be good for, like, cinnamon's good for luck, and then this one is good for love. When you combine them, it may make a certain smell, or it may interact with your pheromones in your body to make you more attractive. You see what
Hmm.
I'm saying?
Hmm.
So it's things like that. Because people will say, like, I thought you were going to say this about the candle when you were asking about the flame. People will say, oh, well, if it's drafty in the room, then the candle's going to burn this way or it's going to do that. All of these things are taken into account. And so, yes, it is drafty right now. Right now, this is what's happening in your house. These are the conditions to create this so that you can read it in this way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Okay. So you can say, well, why does this love oil work? Does it work because, it's magic and I can't explain it any other way? Or does it work because of the pheromones and because of how it interacts with a woman's chemistry, and so it makes her more appealing? And so it's things like that. But, yes, sometimes people put them on. You don't normally eat them. But you can
Gotcha.
dress your candle with the love oil too if you want to burn a love candle, or, anything like that. It's
Gotcha.
just to
Now,
speed up and help.
like you used these before, right?
Hmm.
Now,
A little here and there. I don't do those a lot.
uh,
I make any ones I want to use. I make my own, but I don't always dress my candles either.
let me ask you: do you practice meditation?
I do.
Gotcha. So, like, so you would look at the putting on the oils and things like that, and I guess the candles as just like little things to help like just
Like
kind of
booster.
yeah, little boosters to help. But would you say that meditation is your core practice, or what? What is your core practice?
Like as far as spiritually speaking,
Yeah.
I think it's a combination
Hmm.
because I do my meditations. I talk to God at my altar with my candles. You
Hmm.
see, I whatever I feel.
Hmm.
Sometimes I just do everything, but it's. I think I need them all.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Because I think there are some people that like me personally. I feel meditation cannot be circumvented. I think like if you're on a path towards
You need
enlightenment,
it.
you have to meditate. Like because I speak to people almost on a weekly basis, and I hear them say things like, "Well, my form of meditation is reading, or my form of meditation is
No,
watching movies, or my form of meditation is
no, you're
jogging
not
or
quieting
playing
your
the
mind.
guitar." No, actually, no, that's not meditation. You know, like no, you
Mhm.
exactly. There's no way around that. You know what I'm trying to say? So I'm just saying, if I wouldn't want people to think that like someone like yourself just practices candle magic or
No,
just makes oils. There is
I
no.
go to church
Yeah.
sometimes
Hmm.
and I speak to God and I tithe
Hmm.
because I have to give back to because of what do I believe the law of attraction. I believe the law of the universe, which is you got to give and get. You see,
Hmm.
if I want to receive, I need to give,
Hmm.
and so that's another thing that I believe, and so that's another form of my spirituality. In other words, I need to do that regularly. And that's
Hmm.
how I feel. That's what I feel in my spirituality practices. Something that I need to do regularly. Okay. I need to meditate regularly. I need to talk to God regularly. I need to, light my candle. I need to do this. All of these things make me feel whole on a spiritual level.
Gotcha.
Kind of like eating a meal. You're not going to eat the greens only in a meal. You're not going to only eat meat. You're not going to only eat potatoes. You're going to eat or whatever you eat. You're going to eat a combination.
Yeah. Let me ask you because I personally do not go to church and I generally try to avoid it as much as possible. Sometimes I'll go to support my mother, in front of say, but like, I mean, I'm assuming it depends on what church you go to. Obviously, they all have different vibes. But when you go there, do you feel that it centers you, or what's the purpose? What's the reason for that?
Well, let me explain to you what I do first of all, because I
Yeah.
don't go to church services very often.
Yeah.
If I go to church services, I might go to appease my mother, like you, or
Yeah.
to appease, somebody else. But that's okay, and I'll take from that fellowship, and I'll take from that a sense of community. And hey,
Hmm.
we all believe this, and we're all here for this purpose. But my regular, like when I say I go to church and I talk to God and I tithe, I go when I feel like going.
Hmm.
So the other day I went it was like Saturday afternoon. I went and I tithed and I sat in. Nobody was there. I took my communion and signed the cross and all that. Sat and talked to God. And then I got up and I left.
Hmm.
That was it. You see?
Hmm.
So I don't feel the need to go to regular Sunday services. That's not for me. I don't need
Gotcha.
that.
Gotcha. But that practice was instilled in you as a child though. You used to go with your mother, no?
Yes, and you know what's funny? For a while I felt bad for not going, and I said that's not where God is.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah.
And so, whatever you believe, I don't believe that's where I think I can access him anytime. Now, I
Correct.
might go to his house and give him some money, you see,
Hmm.
and I do that, like I said, for that reason, because I know that it does go to a good cause.
Yeah, but let me ask you: when you walk into that church that you go to, or that cathedral, whatever it is, do you feel a certain presence that you may not feel in your own house or out in maybe in another area of town?
Um,
Because I wonder, because I got to think metaphysically that there's a certain vibration that might be raised there, depending upon because of the singing and the
I
music and the things that go on there, and the incense that's burned and things like that.
Yes, and I like it. I like the feeling there. I feel at home in front of people, if that makes any sense.
I hear what you're
I
saying.
feel comfortable
Yeah.
there to go there, and I feel like when I go there that I'm really, that I am really connecting, and that I am really, and connecting for me is I can connect here, but I feel like I can go there and connect, and you know what I'm saying, be able to,
Yeah.
and it's still a good place, and I like it. I like the energy that's
Yeah, I
there.
can imagine that people's will are all in alignment there. So that means that like the mesh of vibration there is it must be even stronger at certain times. You know what I'm trying to say? Then
Exactly, and I like that.
Gotcha. Understood.
And you can feel that at different churches.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've just kind of walked into some Baptist churches when they're playing the music and things like that, and they're getting down. I'm like, woo, I'm feeling this, you know. So I'm like that. I mean, I couldn't recreate that, in my meditation or something like that. That's that with the music and things like that. So I was like, that's pretty cool. I mean, I'm not sure if the message is something I already know, but I mean, it's still good just for the fellowship, as you say.
It's nice to fellowship. And
yeah.
So for me, when I left, because I work from the home right now, so I don't have to go out. I go out to go to the gym and do, errands and stuff like that. I don't have to go out every single day for work. And so I went and I looked at a place for down the street because I said, man, I want to get out of the house. And I said, I want to go somewhere where I like the energy, and maybe there'll be a person here or there, but I want to just go and not feel by myself. I want to get out of my house.
Understood, yeah.
And so I went there, and the little guy was there, like one of the maintenance men. They were changing some things around, and so he talked to me. He was really nice, and I was like, okay, I like the people here, and I like how it feels, so I want to make this the place that I go time. And so I just go just to get out and just to talk to God in a different place. Like you might go to the park and enjoy.
Understood. And I think I know. This is me personally listening to you. I mean, you are an extrovert still. You know what I'm saying? So I think
exactly.
that is part of your extroverted spiritual practice coming out, and that's a beautiful thing. The world needs all types of people, introverts and extroverts. So I as an introvert, I tip my hat off to you for doing that, because guess what? If nobody tides, them churches are not gonna stay up and running.
Exactly. And for somebody, and I tithe too, not only because it's going to the cause, but like you said, that, and somebody is going there every Sunday and enjoying it and getting from it what they need.
Yeah.
See?
Correct. Yeah.
So I want to contribute to that in any way I can. And I feel like that's what my tithing is doing, essentially.
Yeah. All right, sister. I know you got to head off here in a second, but I appreciate your time, and it's been a beautiful conversation. Feel free to hit me back up anytime, and I hope it was, you got something out of it as well.
Yes, I enjoyed it. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of it.
Not a problem. Just have a great day.
You too.
Peace.
Bye-bye.